From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Making the most of research dollars.
A record year for University of Tennessee Ag Research, a 200% increase from last year.
As inflation continues to impact life on the farm.
Will inflation return in 2024, and what does that mean for agriculture? We'll find out today on Ag Day.
A major winter storm bears down on farm country, but it doesn't end there. Hear what else is on the way right now on Ag Day.
Ag Day, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when the name on the cap matches the power of one's purpose. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Happening right now, a fast-moving winter storm is sweeping across the country. It's bringing with it blizzard conditions and in other places, flooding. Now, parts of New Mexico, Colorado, Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, and Nebraska seeing up to a foot of snowfall along with high winds leading to blizzard conditions and possible whiteouts. In Kansas, Trooper Todd sharing this video on Twitter of I-70 just west of Ellis where heavy slush was pulling people off the road. On the backside of this storm, extremely cold temperatures. Here you see the outlook starting Friday through Monday with minimum temperatures in some places going negative.
And so we are looking as we move into the weekend of temperatures dropping below zero as far south as at least the central Great Plains, possibly into northern Oklahoma. And we'll also see those sub-zero temperatures extending across the upper Midwest. Now you get further back closer to the core of this cold air, we are looking at some temperatures that could drop below -30 across the northern high plains in an area that experienced near record to record warmth during the month of December.
Now Rippey says areas not protected by snow cover, especially the northern plains, could face some winter wheat winter kill due to temperatures that drop well below zero. The wild weather starting over the weekend with a tornado touching down in the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, sending sparks flying. Damage to property was reported in parts of the city, but thankfully no injuries. Now officials say it was the second official tornado of 2024 for the U.S. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht continuing our team coverage on the current storm pushing across the country. And Matt, that powerful system is expected to continue moving further into the southeast and northeast today.
Yeah, and this is not only a powerful storm initially, but there are more to come. In fact, we're eyeing 1, 2, maybe even 3 systems like this that is going to be supported by the jet stream. At the very least, we have 2 this week, and then cold air filling in behind it. Now, there's Tuesday at 1 p.m. Complex system, not only the snow that usually takes the headlines, but severe weather into the deep south with this system as the low works to the north and to the east. And may actually start to get some thunder snow in portions of the Midwest with how strong this low pressure system is. So that's the first one. This is Wednesday at 6 a.m. We start to bring in some ridge tries to form back out here to the east with a weaker clipper system getting that next system going out here to the west. And it is going to be wet on the west coast, snowy in the higher elevations, and then eventually a low pressure system forming back down here to the south is going to bring another round of some snow and rain into portions of the United States. And producers in Nebraska are getting ready for the storm before it hits. Ryan in Nebraska is the owner of Curly's Pasture Pigs. He says they put out fresh bedding before the snowstorm and cold weather arrives. It definitely will be put to good use. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
Ag Day's coverage of Water Street Solutions 2024 EDGE Conference in Tucson, Arizona is brought to you by Water Street Solutions, helping farmers navigate the commodity terrain. Learn more at waterstreetag.com.
One thing no one could escape last year, inflation. But what impact could it have on markets and producers this year? AgDay's Michelle Rook attended the Water Street Solutions EDGE Conference in Tucson, Arizona. And Michelle, inflation may turn out to not be all bad.
Speakers here say they expect inflation to return in 2024, and that will not only impact the interest rate climate, but the willingness of the funder speculative community to buy agricultural commodities. Now, that could actually be good news for the grain markets. Inflation cooled in 2023 following a series of interest rate hikes by the Fed. However, Arlen Suderman with StoneX says there are already economic signs inflation could rear its ugly head in 2024.
We've seen a resurgence in interest in buying houses once again at the lower mortgage rates. And those are two sticky areas of inflation that can bring inflation back.
So despite the market's pricing in lower rates this year, he doesn't expect the Fed will cut interest rates at least in early 2024.
Yes, I believe it means higher for longer from the Federal Reserve, but I believe the Federal Reserve starts to lose its influence on interest rates this year, particularly the longer end of the yield curve, as we see what's projected to be a 23% increase in debt certificates that are offered onto the Treasury market because of government spending.
That means the Fed most likely won't be able to use interest rate hikes to curb inflation. That could cause the funds to buy commodities as a hedge against inflation after being in a deflation mode for the last 21 months and short in many markets like corn and wheat.
Well, they have a tendency, once they come out of something, they go the other way. And I don't know if we'll have the fundamental reasons for them to do that, but I think we could have a catalyst that gets them flat, and then we'd see if there's something optimistic enough to get them long. But we might find out that we have another surge in inflation, and that would be bullish to commodities if that happened.
And Suderman says that could support grain prices.
That doesn't necessarily mean we get a big rally in prices, but it does make it easier for the market to respond to any type of a friendly story that comes along.
This environment may also pressure the U.S. dollar index, which is friendly for ag exports and prices. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
Congressional leaders say they've worked out a budget agreement, one that will keep the government funded through the end of the fiscal year. The deal between House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer includes $886 billion in defense spending and $704 billion in non-defense spending. But despite the tentative agreement, two funding deadlines are coming up, January 19th and February 2nd. If Congress does not approve the budget deal hammered out by its leaders, the government could still shut down. But some conservative lawmakers are reportedly demanding more from the White House on immigration and border security. The House Freedom Caucus saying the deal was, quote, even worse than we thought. Now, President Biden praising the bipartisan deal, saying it would help avert a needless government shutdown. Protests continue this week in Germany as farmers rally against plans to scrap a tax break on diesel. Farmers using tractors and ag equipment to block roads and clog traffic on major routes through the country. Many of them with signs that say no farmers, no food, no future. Now, the protests were ignited by a government spending plan that would end tax breaks on agricultural diesel and on-farm vehicles. The backlash is forcing a political coalition to modify some budget proposals, but the Farmers Association, DBV, says the changes are, quote, absolutely insufficient and plans to continue protests this week. Meanwhile, Polish farmers that were blockading a border crossing with Ukraine are ending their protests. This comes from Poland's state news agency. The report says farmers have reached an agreement with the government over impacts of Ukraine ag products coming across the border. You see them signing that agreement here. Now, the deal includes a corn production subsidy, lower agricultural taxes, and preferential liquidity loans. Grain markets trend lower ahead of the next WASDE report. We have details on the latest trends coming up next in Markets Now. And later, the push to increase ag research in Tennessee. We're off to the volunteer state to see what's on the docket for scientists in the country. The end of the holiday travel season helping ease pressure on gasoline demand. AAA says the national average for a gallon of gasoline is now $3.07. That's a couple of cents lower than where it started the year and more than 20 cents lower than January 2023. GasBuddy.com reports prices are now the lowest since 2021. Diesel prices are also down, now below $4 a gallon. You can see where this year in red stacks up against 2023 in blue and 22 there in teal, and of course 2021 when gas prices started the year below $2.50. Now AAA says January is a pretty blah time of year, so unless there's a big shock to the global oil market, gas prices are likely to trend relatively sideways for a while. Not a great start to the week for U.S. grain markets, with both soybeans and wheat trading down double digits Monday. Michelle Rook has more in Markets Now.
Grains lower on Monday. Randy Martinson with Martinson Ag joining us.
Randy, a down day in the grains, new contract lows in corn, new lows for the move in soybeans, but a lot of it was because of the risk off in the outside markets like crude oil, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, we're looking for direction for wherever we can get it. And right now, crude oil, the Dow has been helping to add a little bit of that to some direction to the market. Weather continues to be part of it too, as we're looking at some, again, favorable weather for Brazil and for the Southern Plains. All that kind of, I think, came together to kind of push the market lower.
So fun selling, and now we have corn down into new contract lows. Talk about where we find the next areas of chart support.
Yeah, I mean, we keep thinking we're getting close to finding the lows as far as wheat and corn is concerned, but we keep pushing a little bit more. Right now, I would think corn is trying to find a little bit of a bottom. It's been slow and going down, but we keep kind of seeing a little bit of bleeding take place. I would look for 435 as kind of the low line as far as the March corn contract is concerned. I think at that point, we should start to see a little bit more demand pick up and start to see a little bit of direction. But we also got these reports coming on Friday that might help kind of for this market to find a bottom.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case. Soybeans, though, new lows for the move again on Monday. We took out the June lows again. Where do we find support?
Again, I mean, I would expect we're going to be looking at a little more follow through on this. I mean, we're not seeing demand, and I think that's the biggest concern is that with this sell-off, we're not finding any buyers coming in to pick up on the export side, and that I think is adding to a little bit of the pressure. For soybeans, I would think we find a little bit at that 1235 level on the March contract. Let's hope that kind of finds a little bit of a bounce. But at this point, Brazil is harvesting. They're not seeing good results, but the rains are going to help the later crop, and we might see a little bit better production then.
Did wheat just follow corn and soybeans on Monday?
Well, I think wheat had a little bit of news of its own. I mean, you look at the rains going across the plains, the fact that we aren't seeing any confirmation of China buying, I think that pushed the wheat a little bit, but I do think that the lower corn and soybeans added to the pressure.
Thanks for joining us, Randy Martinson with Martinson Ag, and we'll have more Ag Day coming up.
Now, just a little bit ago, we looked at kind of the national perspective with the precipitation type and that low pressure system. Now, if you just focus on the snowfall estimate the next couple of days and possibly into the weekend, you can see where that cold air is located, but also where the heaviest snow tracks as well, back into central Michigan and up here to the north and to the east. That second system that we were just talking about is going to develop more to the south. So what we see with the heavy snowfall potential, that's going to come down south as well. That's again Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday. That's snowfall through Wednesday and into Thursday, back out here towards the west coast. Start to see the energy from the next system take shape. It's not until Friday, Saturday, a little bit into Sunday, that next system starts to cross across the United States, as early as Thursday for portions of the plains. Now, the one thing we do have confidence, high confidence, is the air on the other side of the second system is going to be cold. This is January 13th through the 17th. Something we talked about in the middle of December was the middle part of January starting to flip over to at or below average temperatures. And you see high confidence again showing up around this period, January 13th to the 17th, with below normal temperatures across a good portion of the United States, really only escaping it right up there into Maine and on the west coast back into Los Angeles, as well as California and the Four Corner States. Looking at it from a jet stream perspective, so you can very easily see where the energy is coming from with these two systems. There's Tuesday. This trough digs down to the south, cut off low, more of a bowling ball working to the northeast. We start to work energy back around the jet stream and to the south and back up to the northeast as we get into Saturday and Sunday. And then another system could bring in some light snow. More importantly, though, very high confidence in colder air sweeping through with significant ridging back out here onto the west coast. Again, there's a jet stream on Monday. We'll start off with Muncie, Indiana. You got the rain and wind, high around 45 degrees, low of 33. Ashland, Virginia, rain and wind, high of 61. And then Manti, Utah, light snow and wind, high of 35 degrees.
The purple sweet potato has been named the vegetable of the year. A panel of 9 food experts in grocery, retail, nutrition, and sustainable spaces coming to that conclusion. They also said it was high in fiber, vitamins A and B, and packed with antioxidants. The purple sweet potato's recent rise to fame is also due to the recent Netflix documentary, Secrets of the Blue Zones, where this deep violet veggie takes center stage. Tight margins are forcing dairies in the upper Midwest to call it quits. We have details next. And later, ag research is important to future-proofing the industry. We're off to Tennessee to learn about the latest scientific studies in the country. 2023 had some of the lowest milk margins since the Margin Protection Plan debuted. That's according to the Senior Director of Economic Research and Analysis at the National Milk Producers Federation. Now, he says in June and July of last year, margins were down below $4, the tightest margins on record. But Joe Outlaw, an ag economist with the Department of Agricultural Economics at Texas A&M, says the DMC program is working fairly well. He says they're looking at updating some production history numbers to make it more effective. Stephen Kane of NMPF says we likely won't see a complete overhaul of that program. A leader of the Dairy Farmers of America says the current production cap is at 5 million pounds, and they'd like to see that limit get pushed up because the average dairy is now at 8 million pounds. Not the news dairy producers want to hear, but according to the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, the state lost 58 dairy farms in November alone. The executive director of the Minnesota Milk Producers Association says a decline in the number of monthly dairy permits like this hasn't been seen since 2007. Now, he tells dairyherd.com record high beef prices and uncertain milk futures are a big part of the problem. Phil Plord of Everdot Ag says last year was a challenging year for dairy producers, with dairy margin coverage calculations likely showing an annual average margin of less than $7 per hundredweight and dropping to the lowest level since 2012. Now, he says given non-feed costs and lower milk pay, he says the reality on the farm was almost certainly worse. One thing is certainly true, agricultural efficiency continues to improve. Up next, how those same improvements are helping speed the rate of agricultural research in Tennessee, in the country. University of Tennessee Ag Research is coming off a record year for securing grants, up more than 200% from the previous year. Charles Denny reports on what the university plans to do with all that money.
The cotton harvest at the UT Ag Research Center in Milan used to take several people 3 or 4 weeks. This year, one person picked all 200 acres in 4 days. They rolled through the fields in this new 6-row harvester, purchased this year with grant funds.
All of a sudden now I send one person to the field. The others can go harvest beans, we can plant wheat, we can do other things that we've always had to push off till we got finished with cotton. So it has fundamentally changed how we harvest cotton at Milan.
Other UT Ag Research Centers like Highland Rim and Springfield also got new combines and tractors this past year with grant money. They also had faster, more efficient harvest.
We have a very good presence in our row crop research that's going on and have had for a while. But with this more modern, better research combine and plot planter and plot drill and forage harvester, it just opens the door even wider to increase that output that we have in row crop.
UT Ag Research secured nearly $104 million in grants in fiscal 2023, a 228% increase over the previous year. $50 million came from ARP, the American Rescue Plan, also called the COVID-19 stimulus package, money distributed by the federal government to the states. UT's Institute of Agriculture operates 10 ag research centers statewide, including this beautiful farmland in Spring Hill. Each center gets a portion of the ARP funding, with that money going for equipment, buildings, and research projects.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime investment. I'm talking about ARP funding that will truly transform ag research. Our faculty's ability to conduct real-life solution type of research, but also for experiential learning for our students.
Other examples of ARP funds in action: the new robotic milking unit at the Little River Dairy Farm in Blount County. The new equipment helps cows produce more milk.
And we've already seen a 15-pound per day increase in our female cows that are running through that system compared to a traditional parlor setup.
The new year for UT AgResearch looks encouraging. Here directors come together in Spring Hill with some discussion about future use of ARP and other grants. Some money is already spent and some still to be used in 2024 and coming years. This is Charles Denny reporting.
All right, thanks, Charles. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clint Griffiths. Have a great day.